So today is all about why is SEL and what is SEL in the first place, and why is it important for families, especially for families? Well, let's have a look at this together. Family is one of the most important aspects of all of our lives. It is what holds community together, is the family structure. And we know that when a family breaks down, so many other issues come to the fore. And we see this with divorce or separation or trauma when people lose someone close in the family structure. Our experience with the global pandemic has brought many things to the fore, one of which is how important social emotional learning and emotional health is to both adults as well as to children. All of a sudden, academia was put on the back burner because emotionally people were not coping. They didn't have the skills and tools to cope with all the trauma that was happening around us. And so we have found more than ever before that both adults and children alike are needing the skills and the tools to navigate their emotional landscape. And let's face it, that's life, right? Life is going to throw us those challenges, whether we like it or not. And it's so important to have the skills and the tools in order to hold that. And we're all in this together. So although we don't experience the same things in our lives, we're all experiencing life together. So this session will explain SEL, social emotional learning, and why it's important in the family and what you can do in your family to develop that. So let's go deeper into understanding this. Social emotional learning is extremely important, but what actually is it? It's broken down into self-awareness, self-management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. Social emotional learning is the deeper understanding of how our emotions, thoughts, and behavior impact our own lives, as well as the lives of those around us. And the more we have a deeper understanding of how we function within ourselves, it is proven that when children have greater understanding of their own social emotional learning, their academics improve, as well as their friendships, as well as relationships. It has actually been proven without a doubt. And I've worked with orphan and vulnerable children from the most at-risk environments in South Africa, where they have no adults to teach them the way. That when you build up their EQ, emotional intelligence, through social emotional learning, they really do fly. And the opportunities and the possibility simply expand into what they've never thought could happen before. So when we have the skills and the tools and the deeper understanding, we feel way more comfortable in our daily lives because we know that when challenges come up, we're actually going to be able to cope with them in a way better way. Now, it's within families that children learn and discover who they are. What a child learns from a family environment will be what they take out into the world with them. So we know for sure that children mimic adults. They mimic you. They're watching you all the time. And we teach this at a very, very early age. And then we keep asking them, how do you feel now? What are you feeling now? And so we want to check in with them all the time. Now, just a couple of stories. Children don't listen. We know. If you're a parent or you know other children, they don't always listen. But we do know that they're watching. And I'll give you a beautiful story to show you this. When I was emigrating to America 5 years ago, my son, who was already in his 20s, I took him out for lunch. And I was totally traumatized. I thought, how am I going to cope after leaving my career and everything that I knew? How was I going to cope with going into this whole new environment? And he got out of the car, and he was not coming with me at that stage. He got out of the car and he looked at me and he said, I want you to know that I haven't listened to anything you've told me my entire life. And then he stopped and he said, aren't you pleased you lived it right? And obviously, I burst into tears because what he was saying was, I've been watching you. And the choices and the decisions you made were the choices and decisions that impacted me. When you hear this story, how does that make you feel? If you just write in chat, what does that look like to you? Are your children watching you? Are other children watching you? Because we all have children in our lives, whether they be friends' children or family children. I know when I was a kid, I used to look up at my aunts and other adults. So are children watching you right now? 100% agree with you on this. I see my son mimicking everything I do, specifically how I react. Thank you, Archita, for that. And it's so important to understand and know this because they, especially now, when we are facing so many challenges in our lives, the whole world is changing and shifting, and they're looking to you for their cues from their parents and the adults in the home environment. They're watching you and they're seeing how you respond, not always react, but respond to the challenging times that we are facing. So if you have an understanding of the history of it, let's just have a look. This then gives them the idea of who am I? What is my identity? And that is self-esteem and self-confidence. And it comes within the family environment. Do you know that in America, 1 in 4 children are diagnosed with anxiety disorder? It's terrible because that anxiety is going to stay with them for many, many years if they don't have the skills and the tools to actually learn to work with it. What we're seeing globally is that children are feeling lost, they're confused, they're anxious, and parents and teachers are looking for skills and tools to support their own needs and the needs of their families. Now, historically, in the 1970s, psychologist Paul Ekman famously identified 6 emotions he found to be universal human emotions. The original 6 were happiness, sadness, fear, disgust, anger, and surprise. Research then conducted in later years, both by Ekman and others, found that humans don't only experience these 6. There's a whole gamut of other emotions. But these emotions mix to actually cause combined emotions. Another finding was that emotions fall on a spectrum of intensity. For example, anger can be either frustration or annoyance, or it can be fury. And the same thing happens with other emotions. So although there is a huge amount of pressure in the world, emotions can feel very overwhelming. They feel like they can take over. The regret, the anxiety, the fear, the worry, and the idea of what am I going to do to be perfect? I had a call with someone I'm working with yesterday, and her mother's just been diagnosed with cancer. And she was obviously beside herself. And she was saying, I don't know what I am doing. I am making a mess. And we had to walk through it with her because her emotions were just taking over all over the place. So societal pressure to be happy all the time is just not real. It's not life. Everyone goes through different emotions through their lives. And emotions are our temperature gauge. So there's no good or bad emotions. There are comfortable emotions and uncomfortable emotions. And it's very important to accept and sit with all of these, and especially to teach children. Because when children can't sit, or adults can't sit with the uncomfortable emotions, they look to shift it out because maybe there's something wrong with them. But there's nothing wrong. We're human, and that's part of the human condition. It is also very important to teach children that you can shift from an uncomfortable emotion to a comfortable one. So we can move ourselves from sadness to happiness. And those are all the skills that need to be taught at home. SEL is all about navigating these emotions in the best way possible to build the skills and the tools as adults as well as for children. So what do we need to look at that? As adults, we need to grow as much as we can in order to teach our children. Wisdom does not come from a book. Sorry, I spoke to 42 teachers and parents on Wednesday, and I needed to say this to them, that it's intellectual what you read in a book. Wisdom comes from life experience. And you all have had life experience. So it's about using that wisdom of what you've gone through in order to teach your children. You're the adult, they are the children. And so how do you teach them and hold them in that space? So what are we going to look at? A greater understanding of ourselves, which is self-awareness. Do you think that you know yourself? Type in chat, yes, no? How well do you think you know yourself? We live with ourselves every single day, 24/7. How well do you actually know yourself? Pretty well. I learn something new about myself every single day because life changes every single day. So as I get older, I become a different person every single day. As life shows me different situations, I respond to it differently as I grow older and hopefully wise up. So I'm learning about who I am every single day. And therefore, it's important to teach children that as adults, we don't always know everything. And it's a learning. Otherwise, they feel that they've got to reach a ceiling of this is the way it's going to be. But it's never that way because we're growing all the time. And I'm not sure if anyone knows Deepak here, Deepak Chopra, but I remember having a conversation with him as well as someone in India. And I was actually saying that, you know, I need their help. I need their help to teach my children and work. And they said, no, the more you grow yourself, the more you will have to share. So as Jonah was saying, it's dynamic. I have moments when I feel I know myself well, others not as much. And that's beautiful. That's the way it should be. Because then you're not putting a ceiling on, this is who I am. The minute you put a ceiling onto that, then you stop growing. And we should all grow until the day we move on from this world. So, Jana, that's exactly what it should be. Some days you're confident and others days you're not. And it's in those uncomfortable times that you're going to learn and that you grow and grow more and more. How we can better self-manage our emotions to regulate our reactions, especially when we're facing challenging situations. This helps us steer away from aggressive behavior and make use of positive communication skills. So we are seeing that in the pandemic so many times all over. There's so much loss. There's so much mourning, not only with physical human beings who we are losing. I was working with someone who's lost 6 people to the pandemic in her family. The trauma is just huge. Added to that, people are mourning a loss of what they know. Their social life has changed completely. Travel, finances, there's so much loss and mourning. And it's so important now to communicate, because what we're seeing is that the children are picking it up from the adults. And it's important for the adults to communicate all of this with their children and give that space. And sometimes we just need to give words air, and it dissipates that emotion. I don't know if you've ever felt that, where you're going through so much and then you speak to a friend or a therapist, and just by voicing it, it dissipates. When we keep it in ourselves, it just grows and grows and grows. So positive, appropriate communication is very important for us to learn and for us to teach our children. And in a family, that is essential, because that's where it is a safe place, or it should be a safe place to share without judgment, but rather with love and support. The next point is responsible decision-making. When we have greater understanding of ourselves and others, we have got better perspective of our choices that will impact our lives forever. So you can see further along the road, if I make this choice, what is actually going to be happening. And we obviously not fortune tellers, but we do know the consequences. And children don't know that. So it's up to the adults to guide that. Are you resonating with what I'm saying? Please share in chat, and please make other points as we go. Thanks, Archita. As individuals, we never live fully isolated and alone. Thanks, Jenna. We are always in a relationship, whether with friends, teachers, more so than ever before with our families, because so many people have been at home. So in order to have positive relationships, we need positive relationship skills for ourselves as well as to teach. And that, again, is very important in a family environment. It's not aggressive or undermining. It's based on wanting to understand someone else's feelings, not simply to give your own opinion. We do this with listening, with compassion, with empathy. It's not about us just wanting to listen to give them advice, because sometimes other people want to give their words air as well. This is a lot of the base of social emotional learning. And this is what's going to hold you and hold your children. So as humans, we are multidimensional and complex beings. As we grow and develop from children to adults, society, schools, culture, and the stress to achieve all impact our thinking and emotions, which in turn impacts our behavior. And you can see what's going on in society. Through the pandemic, it's incredible what we are seeing as far as behavior goes. I went to a doctor just for a checkup the other day, and he had a nurse assistant who was just so lovely. He had been with him for 30 years. And I said, what happened to her? You know, I really miss seeing her and hearing her voice. He said that since the pandemic, the younger people, 35 and below, have become so intolerant and so mean that when they were calling her, they were so rude that her stress levels started affecting her health. Now, obviously, that is such a lack of self-awareness and such a lack of understanding your impact on other people. And so this is what's happening. It's very important that we start seeing that. How are we impacting others in our behavior as we move forward? So self-talk is one of the things that everyone generally struggles with when I start working with people. They start thinking about, what do I say to myself? So if you're thinking about how you talk to yourself, the way you talk to yourself, would you talk to other people that way? Yes? No? How would you talk to other people? And do you talk to yourself in that same way? That is a skill that is so important, because we often talk to ourselves so harshly. Our expectations of ourselves is just so huge that we would never, ever talk to other people in the same way. Archita, I speak to others with so much more kindness. Why? Why don't you talk to yourself with that kindness? Because the way we speak to ourselves is essential with how we live in the world. If you're not kind to yourself, then how are others going to be kind to you? Question, I've been trying to figure out myself, Kim. There are ebbs and flows for sure. Exactly, and it's practice. Practice is important. When you start speaking to yourself in such a harsh way, stop and say, what is this? It is old conditioning, and often we become conditioned through our childhood. Somewhere, someone has said these things to you, and you then incorporated them, or it was simply your perspective of the situation. It's very, very important to stop doing that. So how do you change that? It's changing from your negative talk to positive affirmations. And the science, again, has shown that this is one tool. There are many, many different tools. But research has shown that by repeating positive affirmations, we can overcome negative thoughts, regulate our body's response to triggers, and increase our cognition, including academic achievement. Affirmations have also been used to treat people struggling with low self-esteem, with anxiety, with depression, and pairing affirmations with visualizations increases their effectiveness. So we work a lot with visualizations. Does this make sense to all of you? Are you relating to this? Archita, I hope that helped a little. It's all about practice. So when you think you can't do something and you're telling yourself, I can't, we know that you're not going to be able to do it because you already set yourself up for failure. Very, very important to talk yourself through in a very positive manner. So our emotions can sometimes be so overwhelming. They take over. And emotions move through time, which is so interesting to me. When we think about the future, what does it do? So regret takes us back into the past, and anxiety pushes us into the future. So one of the ways we can work to overcome regret, worry, and anxiety is to practice staying in the present moment. So emotions really, our thoughts trigger our emotions, that trigger our behavior, and vice versa. So if you take a moment right now and you think about something wonderful, something beautiful that happened to you in the last week, how does that make you feel? What does it do to your body? What does it do to your emotions? Please write in chat. And again, there we go. Makes you feel energized. Yes. For me, it just calms me down. It's like, oh, this is good. This is good. And again, if you think about something traumatic, Joelle, that's it, grounds you, gives you the boost. So all I did was take you back into time and gave you a memory. And look how powerful that was. Now, if you do the same, thinking about something that's more traumatic, what does it do to your body? What does it do to your emotions? Thinking about it. For me, it affects my breathing immediately. I gasp for breath. What's it doing for you? Feel sad, right? So let's flip that again and go back to that beautiful memory and that beautiful thought so that you go and you feel energized and gives you a boost and it feels grounded. This is such a tiny little exercise that took no time at all. And look at what has happened to your emotions. So when we're talking about how you talk to yourself, you have so much control because I don't even know what you were thinking. We haven't even shared that. It's all in your head. So we have a tendency as human beings to create our own movies. What kind of movie do you want to create? Either you want to create a drama and you love the drama, or a nightmare, or you want a comedy or a love story. You're creating it in your own head. So now what happens with me, if I'm going into the drama, I stop and I laugh at myself, go, great movie directing. Okay, let's shift it. And then I shift it into another kind of movie that I want. And immediately my emotions, my behavior changes. Because when I'm in a drama, I'm in fight or flight mode, right? It affects your behavior as to how you are reacting and responding in the world. And no one even knows what's going on in your head. So why do that? Rather go in and create something wonderful. Because all of this is impacting you and your entire household. Please share with me. Are you finding this helpful? Is this valuable for you? I'm not precious. Please tell me the truth. Just drop in chat. How's this going so far? While we wait for that, let's just take a deep breath in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. This makes me so happy to hear about broader perspective and to think deeper. And that's where this links to the question of before. Do you really know yourself? Because we think we do. But actually, there's so much more because you are the most amazing, amazing creation. And so there's layers and layers and layers, like peeling an onion. Beautiful. Thanks, Jana. So here we have, and we're understanding now that your thoughts create emotions, emotions create your behavior, and you can shift that. You can go back in time where there's regret and depression, as well as anxiety about the future, what is actually happening in the future. So being present can be a huge challenge. We all know that. So many of us are thinking about the past and the future. And I'm sure you can all relate to that because I'm so guilty of doing it. Okay, thinking about the past, what should I be doing in the future? And it takes a concerted effort to bring myself into the present. So let's practice this right now. Stop and look around in your room and find 3 things to look at. Just 3. What are they? Look at them. What is the color? What is the texture? Where are they in your room? Do you like them? Don't you like them? Where did you buy them? Or who gave them to you? Have a look at it and see it for what it is right now. This is being in the present moment. So when you feel like you're scattered and you're flying all over the place, just bring yourself in and look at something right in front of you. It brings you into the moment. Smell something. Maybe you've just put on some nice perfume. Bring yourself back into that moment because we all have busy schedules. We're all thinking about, okay, what do I have to do next? What project? What do I have to deliver? And that day may not even come. We don't know. There's no guarantee. So the most important thing, the only thing you have right now is this moment in time. And so being present is very important for your emotions because when you're in that present moment, there's no anxiety, there's no depression, there's none of that because you've brought yourself into the present moment. And a lot of depression and anxiety comes when we don't think our world is how it should be. We want it to be different. We expect it to be different. And as we know, we're not always in control of everything. So it's really important that you stay in the present so that you're dealing with what is happening right now. Because this moment in time that we are together is inevitable. It's happening right now. Isn't that amazing? That we're together across time and space in this very present moment. So research shows that people who work to stay present have an increased ability to deal with pain, a reduction of stress and its impact on overall health, as well as a heightened ability to manage their emotions, right? One powerful way to practice staying in the present is the practice of meditation. Now, meditation at its core is about finding awareness and achieving a sense of peace within ourselves. And, there's this kind of theme, but that's not necessarily meditation. There are many different ways. And this is a wonderful way to bring the family together and teach the skill to your children because they will have it forever. So let's have a look at it. There is mindful meditation, which is observing your thoughts without judgment. So literally just sitting there and watching your thoughts come and go and just not getting caught in them and just letting them pass by. There's a spiritual meditation, which is similar to prayer, seeking a relationship with a higher being. So people will go to a temple or a church, or that's a spiritual meditation. Focused meditation is concentrating on any of the 5 senses. So I'm sure you've often heard people say, focus on the breath, right? Or any of the senses, if you're sitting outside, feeling it on your skin. So that is a focused meditation. Movement meditation is letting the movement guide you while letting your mind wander. So I don't know about you, but I love walking. So when I need a break and I need to bring myself back to myself, I go for a walk. And often I'm walking and my mind is just gone, right? And it's such a beautiful thing. And it's a wonderful way to get your body moving as well. You can do that as a family. These are all important skills to bring in as a unit as well as individually. Then you get a mantra meditation, which is a repetitive word. Often people go and get that mantra from someone, and you just repeat it. So transcendental meditation works that way. And then you get a progressive relaxing meditation, which is wonderful. And you can do this with your children. Lie them on the bed or on a couch. And what you do is you tense each part of your body. So you tense your hands and then you relax them. And you tense your arms and you relax them. And you go from the tip of your head all the way down to your toes. And by the end of it, you have this wonderful feeling of calmness and relaxation and being in the present moment. And then you get loving kindness meditation, where you simply sit and you open your mind to receive and you give love and well wishes. And it's just a beautiful connecting kind of meditation that's beautiful to sit and go through. So the idea of sitting and meditating very seriously is not necessarily the way that it works for everyone, and we're all different in how we work. Visualization and meditation, and we have them on our website and on YouTube, Freethemindco, free of charge. Visualizations are incredibly powerful because as I took you through a process before of imagining thoughts and memories and how you felt your emotions change and your behavior change, that's what visualizations do. But they're very focused. There's an intention behind them. And so they are positive, obviously, and it's an incredible experience. So please go onto Freethemindco on YouTube and get access to it and use them every day. You'll see a massive change within yourself. So, last part of this presentation I want to share with you is some very tangible things to do right now with your children and with yourself as a family unit as well. Express, don't repress. It's very, 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 I can't express enough how important this is as social emotional learning, not only within the family, but for you and your life, for your friends, for your relationships, at work, is to be able to express yourself through a positive communication, because this is a major step in helping children effectively manage their emotions, to teach them to express their feelings in an appropriate way without repressing and denying them. And I don't know about you, but I certainly wasn't raised that way. My family just didn't do that. And it took me a long, long time to actually learn to do it. And sometimes those conversations are courageous, what we call courageous conversations, because they're kind of scary to do. Anyone having those right now? I was working with someone yesterday, and it's a young man, and he said he needed to do this conversation, and his behavior, I could see his behavior was so aggravated. And only afterwards did he tell me he needed to have this conversation with this person, and now he feels relaxed. But it took him a week to decide and to go through it. And I give a whole session on how to have a courageous conversation. So it's very, very important to have those feelings expressed so that they don't sit inside you and they fester. They literally fester. So model appropriate behavior. So important. If you're going to be throwing things around at home, what are your kids going to be doing? They're going to be doing the same thing. A big part of appropriate behavior is they're watching you. We've discussed this. They're mimicking you. Is you can be your own victim or you can be your own hero. And what choice are you going to be making? Because your children are watching you. So I watched my mother growing up. She was always the victim. So as a child, I always felt insecure because if she's in victim mode, who's looking after me as a kid? So modeling appropriate behavior is essential. And this will teach them how to control and manage their own emotions. Children are learning their social skills at home. They will take whatever they learn at home into society. So home is an important place to create a space that's safe for them to discover who they are without pushing them into a box or a category that you want them to fit into. Let them have the space to actually get to know themselves, because we discussed how well do we know ourselves as adults, and we're still learning. And they've got way less life experience than we have. So it's very important that they have the safe space. Find joy with them. Joy is so important. And I hope you are all finding your joy within, because joy is something that comes from within. Happiness comes from without. We all triggered externally with happiness. Someone says something nice, someone gives you something, we get an award, it makes us happy. But joy is an internal process that you can hold on to whenever you are, every single minute of the day, which is ultimate. And I certainly haven't managed to get to that, but I do work on it, and I definitely am conscious of it constantly as I walk through my day. So finding joy is wonderful. Jump around, skip, hop, find that joy. Make full dedicated time for your children without just putting them onto tech. We chose to have children or work with children. It's important that they have time. They won't remember what you gave them, but they certainly will remember the time that you spent with them. Nature is the way. Nature is the most healing, the most connecting part of life and part of our world. Get into nature for yourself, for children. If you're working with children, do an outing, but get them to feel nature. Get them to take their shoes off and walk in the ground and feel it. Get those senses, smell it, touch it, enjoy it. And be the person that they can respect for your own children and any other children that are connected to you. And if you don't respect yourself, how are they going to respect you? So it's really about understanding who you are and then showing them who that is. Remember, they're watching you. So a couple of other stress management skills and tools and ideas for your life, because as adults, we need that so much so. And again, you're modeling this for your children. Meditation, exercise, time in nature. Sleep is just so important. Social, and this is a challenge right now, but socially, even if you get on the phone with a friend and just talk to them, reach out, tell them how you're feeling, ask them how are they feeling, eat well, and make lists and prioritize them. And when I teach, I use something that I really, really do love, and that is win. What's important now? You can't do everything. So think about what's important in your day right now. And it may be just sit and have a cup of tea. But you can't do everything. So prioritize. And know that adults and children are an important, integral relationship, whether they are your own children or other children. But adults are really holding the world and the space for children. It's important. We know and we're conscious and we're aware of what we are doing. So I hope that social emotional learning and the session will give you, your family, your friends, your work environment, the ability to have more control, to live a smoother, happier life for yourself, as well as all of us that are connected to you. I'd like to open for any questions or any thoughts before we close. You can unmute or you can type in chat. Anything you'd like me to speak more about, or any points, please let me know. I want to thank you for being with me. I hope you have a beautiful day. Wonderful, Archita, thank you. I'm so pleased. And please reach out. If you want to discuss anything, I appreciate you too. Just let me know. I'm right here for you. And stay safe, stay warm. Where I am, it's freezing, so I don't know where you are. Zanele, I know that you're in beautiful warm weather. So you have a beautiful weekend. I'm sending you all my love, and we're on this journey together. So let's discover ourselves and support each other as we do that. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Take care.